Hello, my name is Ejiro Efere, and I'm your teacher for agricultural science. The sub-theme for this lesson is Concepts and Medium of Agricultural Production. In this sub-theme, we are looking at the topic Factors of Agricultural Production. At the end of this lesson, you should be able to identify the factors of agricultural production and describe the uses of each factor in agricultural production. For agricultural activities to be successful, or rather for agricultural production to be successful, there are certain factors or resources that must be put in place. These resources are called factors of agricultural production. These resources are very important because without any of them, production will not be successful. Just as it is for any other organization, where several resources are put together to produce goods, in agriculture, these resources must be put together in the right ways to produce agricultural goods. The factors of agricultural production are the resources that are put together to create agricultural goods. They include land, labor, water, money, and management. The combination of all of these resources will make agricultural production a success. But when one or two of these factors are missing or lacking, agricultural production will be impossible or very difficult. The first factor of agricultural production is land. And land refers to the natural environment on which crops grow and animals live. Land includes the soil where crops grow, soil or land where animals live, and also the water resources such as rivers and lakes where aquatic organisms live. All of these are classified as land. Farmers need farmland to carry out agricultural activities such as growing of crops and rearing of animals. They also need farmland to carry out every other agricultural activity that will lead to the production of goods. The soil found on land gives support and provides nutrients for crops, for those crops that grow on them. And animals are also raised on land and in water bodies, as I mentioned earlier. The second factor for agricultural production is water. Water is very necessary for agricultural production because all living organisms need water to survive. Plants and animals are living organisms. Therefore, they need water for a healthy growth and for survival. Animals drink water to nourish their bodies, and farmers also use water to produce the food for animals or to make food for animals. Plants use water to make their food. Know that plants make their food themselves using water, sunlight, and carbon dioxide. So they use water to make their food. Water is gotten from several sources. For crops, They get water from rainfall or by the physical process of watering the farm by the farmers. Animals get water from water reservoirs or water supplied to them by the farmers. Agricultural production requires physical work such as clearing and preparing of farmland, making of ridges, that's for planting, rearing of animals. This includes taking care of the animals, keeping their houses clean, feeding them, and doing every other activities that regards to animals, and harvesting of crops. All of these are examples of physical work that is done in the farm. The people that carry out this work will have to first sit down, think, and plan how the work is to be done. And they also need to use their energy to carry out the physical work. The ability to think and plan on how the physical work will be done is referred to as mental efforts. And the energy used to carry out this physical work is called physical efforts. Labor is a combination of the mental and physical efforts required for production. Labor can also be described as the physical work that is being done in the farm. For example, we describe labor as work. So when people bend to till the soil, to make ridges, and to plant crops in the soil, we call all of those labor. The next factor for agricultural production is money. Money is very important for the production of agricultural goods. Farmers need money to do the following: to acquire other resources that are needed for production, such as the farmland. They'll use money to buy farmland, crop seeds. They also need to use money to buy the seeds that are to be planted on the farm. Fertilizers, which are to nourish the crops grown on the farm. Pesticides, these are chemicals used to kill pests in the farm. Tools, working tools for the farm. And machineries, which are heavy machines used to carry out work in the farm. All of these are acquired with money. Without money, farmers will not be able to purchase all of these. They also need money to make payments. They make payments to farm workers, to suppliers. Suppliers are people that bring certain products to the farm, such as fertilizers, people that bring fertilizers and other products needed in the farm. Farmers will require money to pay them. There are various ways to get money for agricultural production. One of such ways includes asking family and friends. If you want to go into agricultural production, you may want to ask your family members or your friends for money to acquire most of the resources you need for production. You could also get money by obtaining loans from agricultural cooperative banks, such as this one shown here. Agricultural cooperative banks are banks that are created by the government to provide money for farmers. So farmers could go to such banks to obtain loans. Farmers also come together to form cooperative societies, whereby poor farmers that need money can also borrow money from such organizations or cooperatives. Another way to get money for agricultural production is by obtaining loans from other banks. In this case, these are not cooperative banks, they are other commercial banks. They could also provide loans for farming activities. The next factor of agricultural production is management. So agricultural production also requires good management in order for it to be successful. And management involves planning, that's the mental effort of planning and organizing how things are to be done in the farm. It involves organizing, implementing. By implementing, we mean carrying out the process that have been planned for. Evaluating, that is the point where farmers take their time to analyze how things have been done in the farm, if they are good and should be continued, or if they are not good or should be stopped. All of these are activities that are considered in management. The farm manager, that is a person who takes care of the farm. The owner of a farm could be a farm manager, or he could employ someone who takes care of the various activities carried out in the farm. So such a person is referred to as the farm manager. He plans the activities and puts them together. He brings together several factors that are required for good production, such as the land we mentioned earlier. He considers labor, who to work in the farm, when to work, and how the work is to be done. He also considers how water will be supplied to the farm, how the animals are to receive water for drinking, and how crops are to be watered. He also considers how the money available for farm production is to be used, the amount to pay who, and the amount to spend on whatever purchase. He does all of these in such a way that agricultural production is successful. This is a farm manager, and this is also a farm manager. In planning, there are several plans that are made by farm managers. For example, a farm manager makes plans on how to get the crops needed to be planted. The type of crop, the species of crops, the quantity, etc. He makes all of those plans. The farm manager also makes plans on when to plant crops and how to get laborers to do the work. It is also the farm manager's responsibility to make plans on when to harvest the crops, harvesting of crops or farm produce, and when to store them, and also how to store if he wants to bag them, freeze them, dry them, or otherwise. The farm manager also makes plans on when to sell farm products. If it's to sell during rainy season, or during dry season, or even when the products are scarce in the market, he makes all of those plans. The farm manager also learns to keep good farm records. However, he does that either by writing them down or by keeping a good mental record of the farm processes. All of these are points that are considered in agricultural management. In summary of all we have been discussing today, we said the factors of agricultural production are resources that are put together to make agricultural activities successful. We also mentioned that the factors of agricultural production are land, water, labor, finance, that is money, and management. The factors of agricultural production are very important because without them, agricultural production will be very difficult, and in some cases, it will be impossible. To know how well you have learned from this lesson, let's take the following questions. 1. The agricultural factor that provides nutrients and support to crops is called A.